start with. Thank you.
Mr. Wong Yoke Man. Mr. President, in accordance with Rule 44 of the Rules of Procedure, at the committee stage of the Copyright Amendment Bill, I move a motion to adjourn the debate. Mr. Wong Yoke Man, you may speak on your motion. Now, during the second reading debate, this Council debated and voted on the motion to adjourn in accordance with Rule 44(1). Now, the motion to adjourn may be similar under these two parts of the rule, but then they have different targets. On the 25th of January 2016, the President met with the Chief Secretary, Mrs. Carrie Lam, and different factions of members, and then you told the public that this bill is controversial, there should be sufficient time for members to debate it, and it's not practical to set a deadline. It also doesn't stand for reasons.
I agree with your judgment. The Speaker should always defend the right of councillors to debate bills and motions, but times have changed. On the 7th of January, we also voted on an adjournment motion, but today is different. In this week's meeting, this meeting will end at 1 p.m. tomorrow, and then on the 3rd of February, we will have 2.5 days of meetings, and then we'll have the Chinese New Year, and then on the 17th of February, we will have a debate on the motion of thanks. On the 24th of February, we will suspend the scrutiny of bills to listen to the budget speech, and then on the 2nd of March, we have 2.5 days of meeting, but on the 9th of March, many dignitaries will go to Beijing, and we are left with a chamber that is not full. There are members who have to go to NPC and CPPCC meetings, and we have to suspend our meetings for once. On the 24th of February, Mr. President, you want to hold a meeting after the budget speech, but if you want to pass the vote on account motion before the 16th of March, it is not easy at all. If you don't do a good job with the timing, there will be no recurrent expenditure for April, and there will be a fiscal cliff. And the vote on account should take place after bills. And then we might have to use 1 or 2 days to debate RoP 91 in order to suspend RoP 18. So, Mr. President, you think this is quite sticky. I think you are very smart in saying that this is because the administration does not know how to plan its motions and bills. And then, of course, people may say if you don't filibuster, there will not be such a situation. But this is allowed under the RoP. The administration is picking a fight every day. Even Carrie Lam, after C.Y. Leung, is picking a fight at different stages. We can see pro-establishment camp members acted in a rational manner, saying that the Copyright Amendment Bill 2014 doesn't have to be passed. Mr. Ip Kwok Him said the heavens will not fall even if the bill is not passed. Mr. Wong Kok Kin openly supported the withdrawal. The bill, and the Liberal Party also said so in public, and Mr. James Tin actually supported adjourning the second reading debate, and even Regina Ip of the New People's Party proposed that last week that the bill should be withdrawn, but then all pro-establishment members except Mr. James Tin objected to the adjournment of the second reading debate. I think you are schizophrenic. A few days ago, Mrs. Carrie Lam publicly admitted that she had no knowledge about the bill, but on the other hand, she exhausted all means to pressurize and even intimidate the council and also smear the council. She scaremonger members to say, don't use your powers to the full. Well, so what? Are you going to kill me? And then you smear the members saying that you have $93,000 a month and then $600,000 as gratuity, and you have $200,000 for reinvestment every month, and we do not do our work. But then you have over $300,000 a month. You have your residence, and you have even your chef, your chauffeur, and a big garden. This is the behavior of the CS4A. Mr. President, I think you are at the end of your tethers in order to better or improve executive-legislative relationship. Many of us do not have enough money to spend as a legislator. We have to also fork out money from our own pocket. So I'm talking about the behavior of the executive. It is not helpful to a solution at all. So we need to adjourn the meeting, right? As you said, this is very sticky. Mr. President has been asking for all parties to increase communication. He has been trying to persuade every party, but now she is pressurizing you and us. In fact, in the past few weeks, the parties have been in contact, but then the differences are not narrowed, and there are no new solutions proposed, and there is still a stalemate. But because of the RoP, the administration or members cannot move any new CSAs now. Plus, the administration stance is extremely adamant, but we can only hope and ask that there will be a solution. But then a select committee can help to review the bill and propose new CSAs. But then that select committee motion has been vetoed, and the President was not happy to commit the bill by himself according to RoP 55(1)(b). He doesn't want to take that political responsibility. I already mentioned this when I spoke on the motion under 55(1)(a). I already said that you can commit the bill to a select committee under 55(1)(b). And so we are all stuck here for a lengthy debate. Members have been repeating to speak, and there are also calls for quorums. So eventually there could be an abortion of the meeting. But now pro-establishment camp members have sabotaged the call for quorum tactic because they all opt to rest for 15 minutes every hour. But how sustainable is that? The interception of communication and covert surveillance ordinance, a bill, and also the private columbarium bill and other bills, they have all been placed after this bill, but they have to be completed and passed or voted on before the end of the session. But the entire political responsibility and consequences on the shoulders of the administration. If pro-establishment camp members will support this adjournment motion, they will also have to face voters. C.Y. Leung says we should shout to these members. Well, to say no to them, he doesn't have to do it. He can just ask people to beat us up. This will come sooner or later. The police are already in the university campus. There are 12 members who are also MPC and CPPCC members. They should go to Beijing in early March. But now they are saying they will delay the journey. They will go to Beijing only after the 4th of March. So we have another meeting at the council to study the copyright bill, and they will take leave from the meetings in Beijing. Mr. Ip Kwok Him says there of course will be losses if we cannot attend NPC meetings, but we have to preserve the operation of this council here. Good. I commend you. Don't go. Why do you have to go? This is the council. This is where you should be. In fact, they know that in all previous years, they went to Beijing without staying in the council. They did not expound their responsibility to maintain the operation of the council. You remember a few years ago, there was the vote on account motion, but which was not passed, and there was a fiscal cliff because some members went to the mainland. When they mention one country, two systems, they will say one country will precede two systems. But now you don't even go to MPC, CPP, CC meetings, so two systems will precede one country. And so you are stuck here also together with 689. As Mr. Mee Kwok Him said, even if the bill is not passed, heavens will not fall. You do not have to sacrifice for the sake of 689. Next year, Mr. President, you may not seek another term, but I will also mention here that in future, when we schedule council meetings in March, we don't have to give way to members who are also CPP, CC, and NPC members. Because they have registered their stance this time around, they are free to choose to stay here to have council meetings and discharge their responsibilities as members of the council. I will now propose or urge members of the pro-establishment camp to support this adjournment motion because things have come to this stage. We must support the adjournment motion so that the administration will be pressurized into discussing with different parties to try to come up with an acceptable solution for all. Well, even if this adjournment motion is vetoed today, there will be other members who can do so again within the committee stage. Now, of course, again, those motions can be vetoed as well. I now remember something. A repeated moving of an adjournment motion, is that allowed? Well, yes, President. We can do that. In 2012, when we studied the Legislative Council Amendment Bill, that happened, and we were talking about the election to be held to fill a vacancy. And Ms. Audrey Yu said at that time, she said once an adjournment motion is vetoed, it cannot be moved again. But then Mr. Jasper Zhang, our honorable, very respected president, corrected Ms. Yu, and I quote him. Ms. Yu said just now, there was this issue with the RoP, and I would like to clarify here. She said that the adjournment motion could be moved only once and it was vetoed. It could not be moved again. Ms. Yu was referring to RoP 43, and that is when a motion that the debate be now adjourned has been negatived, the debate on the question then before the council shall be continued, and no further motion that the debate be now adjourned shall be moved during the debate except by a designated public officer. But if you look at RoP 40, and it regulates motions under 41 and 2. And then what is mentioned in 41(2)(3) is about a legislative council meeting, and that is when a motion on a debate is, when there is a motion to debate, then as Ms. Yu said, we would have to vote on that motion first. If it is vetoed, if the motion is vetoed, the original debate will continue, and during that debate, there cannot be any motion for adjournment. However, Ms. Yu actually was talking about 44, and this is what I'm talking about. And this is a committee of the council. This is exactly where we are. In a committee, members can also, without giving notice, move a motion to adjourn the proceedings. If the motion is vetoed, the committee will continue its proceedings, but it doesn't say that the same motion cannot be moved again. I will quote again. I am quoting the president. I have discussed this with the legal advisor for some time. I like to say whether RoP 40 was omitting something, because it was only talking about 41(2)(3), which had to do a legislative council meeting but not a committee. And then the LA said that we could explain it this way. The subsection 4 is not the same as 1, 2, 3, because 44 is the committee stage, which can be very lengthy. At different times of the committee stage, different members can move a motion for adjournment. But then the president should think about whether the time for moving a motion is reasonable. Because of time constraint, I will not debate this with you. I was just quoting from the RoP because I'm a member of the Committee on RoP. So I'm moving this motion to adjourn the debate. I hope members will support it, or else another member can move it again. You call it this filibuster? Of course it is. Thank you, President.
Mr. Wong Yok Man has moved a motion of adjournment according to the RoP. I have to deal with this motion first. The question, I now put a question to you. The question before members is that the committee be now adjourned. Secretary for Economic Development, Communication and Economic Development. On behalf of the administration, I oppose Mr. Wong Yok Man's adjournment motion. He repeatedly paralyzed the operation of the Council and tried to block the study of the bill. I find that really regrettable. Mr. President, I urge members to vote against the motion so as not to let this adjournment motion be passed so that the Council can go back to the right track and discuss the bill. Ms. Emily Lau. Mr. President, I speak in support of Mr. Wong Yok Man's motion according to RoP 40(4) in respect of adjournment of the debate or of proceedings of the committee. Perhaps let members have a recess first. A quorum count, please.
劉慧卿議員，請你繼續發言。
Miss Emily Lau. Point of order. Just as Mr. Wong Yok Man said, according to RoP 40(4), there is no provision that there will be no further amendment. Now, if we reject this motion, can we therefore prevent any further moving of the adjournment motion? As for members who have joined this council, I'd like to inform you that we have set a precedent.
If a motion has been negatived and there is no reason to convince me that if the motion is again submitted, there will be different outcome, I will not allow for the same motion to be moved again. That was something quoted, or a precedent in 2012, as quoted by Mr. Raymond Wong. Now, if a member moves the same motion, then I will make a ruling depending on the circumstances. Mr. Raymond Chan, do you mean in the same meeting or what? At this committee stage, as what the member said, if a member moves an adjournment motion in accordance with 44, there is no stipulation in the rule that at the same committee stage that only the motion can only be moved once. We've dealt with that before, and if the same motion is raised again by another member, then I will be dealing with it according to established principles. Ms. Emily Lau, I speak in support of Mr. Raymond Wong's motion moved under 44 of the Rules of Procedure. Mr. President, as I said, the relationship between the executive and legislature has been at an all-time low. And in fact, yesterday, the Chief Secretary for Administration, she was really in the electrical complex trying to fight a battle against us. She said that she never mentioned the word filibustering. Well, it's best that she mentioned it. The council has our own respect. We have our own autonomy. As to how the president conducts the meetings, we don't need the executive or the CS4A or any electrical members to teach him how to do things. Of course, you can talk to him, but during the meeting of the whole council, and you are asking the president not to chair the meeting and then to meet her. Why is there such a need? Why is there such a problem? Now, in the debate in the past several days, we've said that the council will stop operation in July, mid-July, and we have so many things to deal with. And so why are we having a heated debate over this copyright amendment bill? And this is because the government has not been doing its job properly. And as what some members said, she doesn't even know what the bill is all about. She just asks us to pass it. And I don't know the secretary responsible, how much he knows about it. And Ms. Dara Lee said that I've misquoted her, and a lot of things should have been discussed at the Bills Committee. And she said that, well, if you have views from experts, those should be set out as well. I'm sure that has already been done. But the question is, the administration is turning a deaf ear to these. Why are they so bold? Because members, because of you said that, well, you can't disregard our views. No change should be made. We should pass it through, force it through. The president sometimes said, well, don't think that you have enough votes and you can do whatever you like and do those things through, Mr. President. So I think You may say that I have repeated myself, but I think I must state my stance. The Legislative Council should be given a chance to show that we can deal with matters on our own. We want to have an adjournment. We wanted the bill to be passed, but then it's just that we want to add in clauses which can reassure the netizens. Perhaps the members on the other side can say something. A lot of them outside the chamber said that they don't agree that we should continue discussing the bill. It's not so important. We haven't got a consensus. Should we be spending our time on some other things? There are so many bills in the queue waiting to be dealt with. Let's adjourn the debate, ask the administration to go back and deal with all the issues. Well, that can be done. So I hope that members, please say something. Well, let us know what you think. You've been sitting here. You're having a hard time. I'm sure that you have a lot of things to say, too. Don't you want the council can discharge its duties effectively? There are so many bills yet in the queue, and next month we have the appropriation bill coming up. So shouldn't we be giving the chance to tell the administration and the executive that we are not at your disposal? Now, she's here to meet with the president. She's not here to meet with us. If you are really sincere in resolving the matter, why? You don't need to meet the president. I don't think the president should meet anyone upon anyone's request. Well, in the midst of the meeting, then she's asked the president to meet with her. If you are really sincere in resolving matters, you should lead a team of government officials and meet with the electoral members and ask us what solutions are there, what proposals are acceptable by all. I don't know who she has met with. Well, if she has met with you, please raise your hand. Well, nothing from outside has met with her. And she met with the president, and then she met with the media, the two groups that she thinks is most important. We are treated in such a manner. I think we should deserve respect from others. And she criticized us for earning so much. And some members of the public were so angry, offended by her remarks. Well, what are they earning on their side? They are so very angry about the XRL project. You are spending an extra $100 billion. Have you asked us for our opinions? And we're wasting our money, squandering money like that. And on the other hand, you are criticizing us for earning, say, tens of thousands of dollars a month. Well, some people do like what we are doing. So C.Y. Leung is driving all these rifts within the society. And some people said that the CS4A is getting more like C.Y. Leung. Well, in the past, we used to have a different impression of the CS4A. We think that she is down to earth, that she's a tough lady, and she's trying to listen to views from the public. And this is something that anyone who governs the SARG should do. Well, I don't like you, then I would really put up a great fight against you. Well, after September, I will not be here, but many of the pan-Democrats will still be here. So I don't imagine that all of the members will not get re-elected. Some of the voters may take you to task. Anyway, well, should we be pooling our wisdom, and you should be cooperative with us. You are not capable either. Well, if you are so capable, you don't need to cooperate with others, but then you are not so capable. So this is what we are seeing in our political system. Please just don't work for yourself. Don't play up your achievements, so-called achievements. You are incompetent. You should cooperate with us. Well, for some bills, we might have polarized views. But for this bill, everyone wants it to be passed. We met with the copyright owners. We explained to them that this is our stance. And Mr. Dennis Kwok just mentioned about contract override, why there should be a limitation. Well, the limitation doesn't mean that we'll take away your commercial interest. It's just that we want to protect the individual's interest. When they sort of do parody online, they would not be prosecuted. They would not be caught by the law. So why is it that the copyright owners are not acceding to that? Because you are supporting them in insisting on their stance. So Mr. Raymond Wong has been very right. I've asked the clerk how many times can the same motion be raised. The president has given us an answer. If there are new circumstances, then the same motion can be raised again. Well, I think we are very innovative here. We can raise some new circumstances. But the question lies not there. We are powerless. We don't have the courage either. What we have is just the set of rules of procedure. Under the British rule, we did have legislative power. I moved a private member's bill asking for the direct election for the whole electoral council. I lost by 1 vote, but then the basic law has taken away this legislative power for us. What further power do we have under the basic law? Well, we can only exercise collective power, say in passing the appropriation bill and so on. So the executive has all the power. Look at what's happening at Hong Kong U. Yeah, Ms. Lau? Well, please go back to the subject. Yes, of course I will return to the subject. President, as a member of this council, whether which political party you come from, no matter how loyal you are to Beijing, I think we should work for the interest of Hong Kong as a whole. I think we did have times where we cooperated and we did make some achievements. On this bill, we didn't have the time. So if we can support Raymond Wong's motion, and then we can discuss proposals which are acceptable by all and take a further step. Why don't we do that? So, Mr. President, debate after debate, but then we are seeing that the executive is really not heeding our advice. And would it be the case that one day this chief executive will like to meet with you, the president? Ms. Ho? Well, I will tell the executive and the administration. If you want to tell us anything, well, talk to the members. We have the votes. The president doesn't have any vote. Well, in fact, he does, but he never cast his vote. And don't try to convince the president to stop the filibustering to create space. The president doesn't need your instruction or teaching or lecture. He's been in the post for so many years. He doesn't need your advice. So for us, electoral members, we should tell the executive we know what we are doing. We know what problems Hong Kong is facing, and we have the power to resolve them. And you, the C.Y. Leung's group, is the root of all these problems. You are the crux of the problem. So though you are creating all these problems, the electoral does have the wisdom to resolve matters and resolve issues. I will not sit here, sitting with my arms folded, doing nothing, and let you tear apart Hong Kong and get nothing done. And we will not let you force things through. And we will not create fear among the public of Hong Kong. So, members, I would like to ask you, how many more hours do you want to spend here? How many more days, how many more weeks you want to spend debating on this bill? Why don't you support Mr. Raymond Wong's motion? Stop and then ask the secretary to do something. Invite the experts, scholars, and electoral members and have a joint discussion, come up with a solution. This is a critical juncture, Mr. President. The electoral as a whole should respond to the challenges in front of us. Tell the Hong Kong public that there is so much division within the society, so many problems. We still have our own wisdom. We have the stamina to tackle these problems and we can achieve something together. Well, several members within the chamber and also outside the chamber that we should not drag our feet here. I want it to be passed too. So if this is the case, why don't we think twice and give the electrical an opportunity to show the society that we are capable of dealing with these challenges? You should work together with us as well. Let's work together. And I warn the administration again not to come here to the electrical complex to tell us what to do. We know exactly what we are doing. What we're doing is defending the Hong Kong public's right. But we have to take one step forward, not just to pass this bill, but other bills and other businesses. To do that, we need more or less a consensus here at the electrical, and we have to work together and not resort to RoP every time. This is not a power. This is not any authority, but these are the rules for our procedure. This is what we are allowed to do. That is why the president allows us to do this. But if we have the wisdom, we can act fast and efficient, and before July, we can deal with the majority of business that is placed before this council and other panels and committees. Thank you. Mr. Wong Kwok Hing, President, I speak in opposition to the adjournment motion moved by Mr. Wong Yok Man. Mr. President, as Mr. Wong Yok Man said at the very end of his speech, that was the most important line, I think. He admitted that he is filibustering 1,000%, he said. This goes to negate whatever he said in the preceding 14 minutes. Whatever reasons or justifications he mentioned, the only objective is to filibuster. Actually, Mr. President, the Pan-Democrats make use of the adjournment motion 37A and other rules of procedures to create this traffic jam in the council and to hold the council and the public to ransom. And there are so many examples of them damaging the interest of Hong Kong people. This is so in the council, as well in the Finance Committee, in PWSC, and also the Establishment Subcommittee, and even at panels. They are resorting to every means and ends to do this. With regard to this adjournment motion moved by Mr. Wong Yok Man, in fact, I had expected it. I knew it was coming. They would be using these tactics one by one, and we could only object. We have no choice but to object to this. Mr. President, Mr. Wong Yok Man put forward this motion while we are debating amendments moved by members. And it's right at this juncture that he's proposing an adjournment motion. The strangest thing about this is, just now, the chairman of the Democratic Party, Ms. Emily Lau, said she would support it. Why do I say this is very strange? Originally, this is the stage for the Pan-Democrats to present amendments. Well, some of them would be moved by Mr. Chen Kam Lam, the chairman of the Bills Committee. They should use the time now to garner for support from this council for their amendments. They should make the best use of the time now, because you say time is tight. You also say your amendment is so important. You also say there is so much reason behind the amendment. Then it's only right that you make the best use of the time to lobby us so that we can understand your amendment, so that we can support your amendment. Well, that is what you should do. That is how things should be. But you heard Ms. Lau for over 10 minutes. You heard what she said, and the impression you get is that she is going back on her own words, that she is schizophrenic. She said she would support the adjournment motion by Mr. Wang Yukman. In other words, we should suspend the debate. In other words, you don't need the time now for us to listen to your very so-called reasonable amendments. You prefer to suspend the council so the administration can discuss with different parties to find a way out. That is what she said. But the impression I get is that Ms. Emily Lau of the Democratic Party, who is a veteran counsel, is hypocritic. She is playing tricks with her rights as a counselor. She is really seasoned in doing this. If we don't listen her out and follow the entire process at the council, you would have thought that she had told you the truth. But it's just the opposite. That she is actually telling a lie or a joke. Therefore, we should not support such schizophrenic words. She is satirizing democracy. Mr. Wang Yukman moved a motion. Ms. Emily Lau echoed it immediately. And from this, you can see that the Pan-Democrats are not sincere in fighting for amendments on behalf of their supporters. They are not trying to perfect the bill. I hope the public can see this clearly. President, I oppose the adjournment motion moved by Mr. Wang Yukman. His speech plus Ms. Emily Lau's speech give me also this feeling that the vicious are crying out loud. They are assigning all the blame to the administration and also to the pro-establishment camp members who insist on attending the meeting. You are shameless. You assign the blame on us. But I'm sure justice is in the heart of the public. The pro-establishment camp have worked for the interests of the public and Hong Kong so that council will not be kidnapped and threatened by you. In the process, we have found a way out, and that is starting from yesterday. We will sit here for 45 minutes every hour so that the call for quorum tactic adopted by you is totally sabotaged. Before yesterday, over half of the time was spent or wasted on call for quorum, but starting from yesterday, we adopted this way so that your tactic of call for quorum was sabotaged. Now you are angry because you are too shamed, and that is why you come up with this adjournment motion. Members of the public, councillors, have the responsibility to study bills presented by the administration. They have the responsibility to have meetings. But please look at my right side. How many members of the Pan-Democratic camp are here? Shouldn't they discharge their responsibility? Members of the public, ask them whether they have members' stipend. Why is it that they are paid but they do not attend meetings, that they are paid but then they do not come here? Why is it that during the scrutiny of a bill they can create situations where there is no quorum so as to delay the meeting. They do not reflect upon their own acts. They are not disciplined. And more so, they blame all this on others. In the year before, too, there were 79 days of the Occupy movement. Now, who is in the right, who is in the wrong? Now we have a total backlog of business here in the Council. Mr. President, you met with different members in order to try to find more time for Council meetings. You worked very hard in order to hold more meetings so that we can discharge our responsibilities. But Ms. Emily Lau and other Pan-Democrats make it out to say that we just want to accommodate the administration. They make it out to say that we are threatened or pressurized by Mrs. Carrie Lam. That's a very big joke indeed. They think the public are ignorant. They think the members here are foolish. Again, justice is in the heart of the public. Mr. President, Ms. Emily Lau said, C.Y. Leung drives a wedge into Hong Kong society. Ms. Emily Lau said, C.Y. Leung syndicate. I'd like to ask Ms. Emily Lau, the Democratic Party, the Labour Party, you accepted Jimmy Lai's money. You did not give an account. You are here to protect Jimmy Lai. You should give an account. You should come clean. Facts tell us that in 2012, ever since the inception of this council, the biggest scandal was Jimmy Lai spent tens of millions of dollars on the Pan-Democrats. They took the money, so the council is paralyzed. So the council, Mr. Wong, please. Mr. Ray Chan, I think Mr. Wong Kwok Heng has spent a long time in interpreting what he thinks about the Pan-Democrats. He has digressed, and also Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, please come back to this issue. Why or why not we should have an adjournment? Mr. President, I might have hit at the Achilles heels of someone. That is why he jumped up. In fact, I was revealing their most heinous crime. Please, quiet. Since she talked about the Jimmy Lai syndicate, I must also mention the Jimmy Lai syndicate in the council, because they are doing everything to paralyze the council by creating traffic jams. I must point out clearly to the Hong Kong public that this is what is happening. Members of the public, there is not just filibustering on the copyright bill. At the PWSC, there is a provision for the XRL Hong Kong section. At the FC, there is discussion on the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. There is also filibustering. And there are 18 to 20 bills in the queue. And the Hong Kong Institute of Education hopes to be renamed the Hong Kong Education University. I hope the students can really get a university certificate, but then the Pan-Democrats and the opposition camp are filibustering here. That is why Mr. Chung, the president of Hong Kong IAD, has said that he would hope the Pan-Democrats would give him a hand. I think that would be most difficult. Mr. President, you have worked very hard, and the pro-establishment camp has worked very hard. We are really very, very hard. We hope the council meetings will not be interrupted and will not be disturbed. However, the Pan-Democrats wouldn't let us. they wouldn't let us. Therefore, we should have no false hope. We should not imagine that the kidnappers will not kill the kidnapped because they have not got their ransom money. They haven't got the money they want. And how would they free the hostage? There are over 30 pro-established camp members here. We are all hostages. And the 7 million Hong Kong people have also become hostages. We are held hostage by the Pan-Democrats. We have been kidnapped, threatened, and are killed. So, President, this is what you see. Please exercise your powers as President and accurately make a judgment and a ruling.
You shouldn't allow this blatant abuse of RoP by such members. You shouldn't allow such motions to continue. Leung Kok-hong is back. Leung Kok-hong should explain to Hong Kong, you've got the money from Jimmy Lai. Explain. Thank you, Chairman. I adjourn the Council for half an hour. Please come back at 1:15.